Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for supporting. Today we'll be talking about the credit card listing page, and we'll specifically be looking at the American Express Platinum credit card. As you may be familiar, if you're new to the channel, what the credit card listing page does is it basically aggregates all of the different credit cards that we're viewing, 30 different credit cards at the moment. So basically we have bank cards, hotel cards, and airline cards. We basically stack all of their annual fees together. So we have a list of all of those cards and their annual fees going from $95 all the way up to $695. And we go through all of their benefits and show you the value that each one of those cards have relative to the annual fee that you're going to be spending. Basically giving you a whole scenario of understanding if you're going to get more value from the credit card or is it actually not going to be valuable to you. If it is higher, right, the value is higher than the annual fee, it's a no-brainer credit card, and then you should go ahead and sign up for that credit card. Today we'll be talking about the American Express Platinum credit card. It is one of the most popular credit cards, but it's also one of the most complex as well too. In order to get all of the value from the benefits, you actually have to do some work, and we're going to dive deep into that. We went through all of the T&Cs from the American Express website, and we basically broke it down because their website is pretty well written, but however, it's not intuitive, and we wanted to show you this apples to apples so you can compare all of the credit cards from our credit card listing page. All right, so follow me over to the laptop. I'll walk you through what the credit card listing page looks like, specifically for the Amex Platinum. This credit card listing page provides about 30 different credit cards, analysis on bank cards, hotel cards, and airline cards. And essentially, we show you all the annual fees for each one of these cards. You know, some range from $95 and they go all the way up to $695, which is quite expensive. So essentially, for every week, we show you the value relative to the annual fee. So for instance, the Capital One Venture X one, how does that stack up, the business side? And then for today, we're going to show you how the Platinum stacks up to its annual fee. And essentially, if we see that this is in the green, that this is a no-brainer credit card because you're going to get more value from it than you're actually paying for it per annum. And if it's in red, well, actually you're not going to get that much value from it. So going over to the Platinum. So essentially what we did is we listed out all of the different benefits. In total, there are 28 different unique benefits, as you see in the count, which provides around $2,400 in value. If you actually subtract that from the sign-up bonus, which is only a one-time fee, meaning that if you not a one-time fee, a one-time reward. So meaning that once you reach their criteria, you get that during the first year, but it's not going to be reoccurring. So what we did is we subtracted that and showed you what it was without that one-time reward. So still, with said, we saw that the value or the multiple relative to the annual fee is 2.4, which is essentially the annual fee is going to be 2.5 times less than the value that you get from this credit card, which means this is an absolute no-brainer. What we did on the far right-hand side is we show you a column where you could basically put in all of your evaluations. So for instance, if you don't necessarily believe that this should be valued at this, you could go ahead and devalue that, and you could do that for each one of them if you want to put 50%, 30%, however the percent you want, and you can put in your own notes basically to track it in there as well too. And then on the right hand side we have our miles and our discount in there as well too. So for the membership rewards, right, we value that at 1 cent per reward. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to show you exactly how much this 80,000 miles or 80,000 membership reward points actually equals out in dollar amounts. And then also, as I mentioned before at the beginning of the video, is that there are some type of benefits that you have to enroll in or you have to do certain things, which means that sometimes you may miss it, or sometimes it just is a lot of work and you don't actually do it, so you don't capture the entire value. What we did is we went ahead and discounted that because we took a survey and we saw that around 25% of people actually made this complaint. So with said, we discount most of these benefits that have the work attached to it at a 25% rate. So for instance, if the value of the reward is $50, that 25% discount actually makes that $37. And this is interactive, so if you wanted to change it, you could go ahead and do that, and of course you could go ahead and do that. So for the first one is the sign-up bonus. The sign-up bonus is not isolated to just American Express, Capital One, Chase, Bilt, all these different credit card providers or credit card issuers, I should say, they have similar reward systems where you spend a certain amount of money within the first 3, 6, 8 months, and then you get these bonus rewards or bonus miles. So for American Express Platinum, if you spend $8,000 within the first 6 months, you get 80,000 membership reward points. In some cases, this reward amount could be higher, but for the baseline, I put it as the most conservative amount, which is 80,000 membership points. Putting that into our calculator, we value that at 1 cent a reward point, so you get $800 of total value, and that's what we put in there. The second benefit is $199 Clear Plus credit. Essentially, what this is if you travel a lot, you want to make sure that you enroll in this, because if you don't enroll in it, you're not going to receive it. In terms of what it does, it helps you skip the line, not only in an airport, but also at stadiums. So if you go to basketball games or football games, or if you go to concerts, they have lines in there that are specifically allocated to Clear, so you can go ahead and leverage this benefit for a membership and then go ahead and go into those lines, so it can make your experience a little bit more fast, because sometimes, waiting in line is not ideal for most folks. The $200 airline fee credit, this is a little bit of work. Again, up here you did have to enroll in it, but up here down here I should say, you have to enroll and then do additional work, meaning that you have to qualify the specific airline that you want to allocate this benefit to, meaning that all of these airlines that are qualifying down here, for instance, Delta Airlines or Southwest, you need to make sure that you click into it even after you enroll to get the full benefit. So $200, we're going to put a little bit of a discount in, so $200 at a 25% discount equals $150. The $200 credit for the hotels, very similar, same methodology. You don't have to enroll in it, but you have to make sure that you hit certain criteria, and there's a couple things I want to mention. One, the criteria is you have to spend 2 nights there, and then 2, it has to be within a fine hotel resorts and hotel collection. That makes it a little bit isolated, because not a lot of hotels kind of fit this category, the select ones. This credit card is specifically for luxury travel, so if you're not really into luxurious travels, this credit card may not meet your personality requirements, right? So the $200 credit, I just also want to mention that you have to book it within the portal, the American Express travel portal. The travel portal, what I've seen in my experience, is that it's on par with what the market rate is. So, they have a lot of different relationships. I think they are, the largest, and of course they're incumbent in the space. So the relationships that they have with most of the providers out there, is pretty solid. But there are some cases where you won't have like a unique reservation or availability there, such as like boutique hotels. I know that's really popular in the travel community now. So with said, there's limitations and there's work, so we provide a 25% discount. The next benefit is the $200 Uber credit. 2 things here. So you get $15 per month, except for the month of December, you get $20. And then on top of that, you actually have to put the credit card as your payment method within the Uber app. So a lot of people have missed this because it's not that intuitive. So not only do you have to put in the credit card information in there, you also have to make sure it is the payment. You're paying with that actual credit card. So for instance, if you have all the credit cards in your app and it's not the preferred method, you're not going to receive the credit. So definitely make sure you check that. Very similar to the $200 credits above, we discounted that because there is some work and it could be easily missed. $240 entertainment credit, so put that into our discount factor up here. I'm going to explain why it's discounted. So $180 is how we came up to that number. So you have to enroll in it, and then on top of that, you have to make sure that you select that from the specific website that the American Express puts in their T&Cs or terms and conditions. So for instance, the Hulu, right? The Hulu app, you cannot just like book it on your app. You have to like book it on the website that they provide you, right? So it could be like hulu.com/Amex, or for instance, the Wall Street Journal, you have to actually book it on the actual link that they give you. If you don't do that, you may not be eligible for that credit. And if you, if you see that within your statement and you see, oh wow, I actually didn't get credit for that, that's exactly why. So it is a little bit difficult to receive some of these benefits. So that's why they are discounted, right? The second, or the next benefit, I should say, is the Equinox credit. I don't leverage Equinox. I've seen other folks leverage it because, they were customers beforehand. This is kind of a toss-up for me. I I just cannot see value in spending $200-300 a month on a gym. However, I did see a few threads in Reddit that specifically called out that you can book an online subscription, and that online subscription allows you to basically book, cancel, and then during the time that you booked and canceled for the following month, because it's a month-to-month subscription, you could use that credit as a spa treatment or a massage. So some value could be put in there, but I haven't done it yet, so therefore I'm just going to leave this blank. Again, being very conservative with these numbers because I want to make it seem like there's a lot of value here, right? Without trying to inflate the numbers. I want to be as conservative as possible to show you that even with being conservative, this credit card still provides a ton of different value. 2x membership reward points. So this is really great because one, you get double the amount of points. Typically, purchases on this credit card are at a 1 point valuation. Now, or one membership reward point valuation. Now for this, I put the methodology of you spend $1,000, so $1,000 times the 2x, you get 2,000 points. So that's valued at $20. Now you may say, Bob, why is it valued at $15? Because you have to book within the American Express travel portal. You have to make purchases within Amex, which is a limitation, right? So if you miss that, one, you're not going to get the 2x membership reward points, and two, again, as mentioned, they have a lot of relationships in that portal, meaning they have a lot of vendors, hotels and airlines, rent-a-cars, etc. But they may not have every single one out there. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Like I'm going to Montenegro later this year, and for a lot of the hotels in Montenegro, specifically boutique hotels, those relationships were not within the portal. Now that's a limitation because what happens if I actually wanted to do that? So that's why I actually discounted this by 25%, right? So for every $1,000 that you spend, you should receive $15 in value. Similar to the perk down below or benefit down below is a 5x air and hotel. So this is something that is quite interesting. So you have to book this through the American Express travel portal as well too. So if you spend a baseline, let's call it $1,000 on travel within that year, 1,000 times 5x is 5,000, which will equal $50. If I discounted that by 25% again, because I have to book within that travel portal, I'm going to get $37.50, which will equal that rounded up basically. This is a limitation at $500,000. Just want to call that out. Don't know if you're going to spend that much in a year, but just want to let you know if you did do that and you didn't see any more credits being put into your, or I should say rewards being stacked into your portal, that is the reason why. Shop at Saks. This is valuable. I have a hack. If you don't actually if you actually don't shop at Saks, I have a hack where you could go into the store. You have to go into the physical location. You can't go into the online store, and you can ask them for a $50 gift card. This is broken out by annual, right? So you get $50 at the first half of the year, so up until I believe June 30th, and then you get the other half at up until December 31st, right? So you can do the store visit and get the credit back using this right here. You could get the gift card, or what you could do is you could just buy online and it will deduct whatever the fee was from your purchase minus $50, and you'll get that twice a year. So I value that at a full $100 because it is actually worth it. You may say that Saks may be like inflated in prices and whatnot, but however, again, if you could keep stacking this, right? If you just got the gift cards, you could keep stacking those. The next benefit is Walmart monthly membership credit, which is quite interesting. If you multiply this $12.95, which is what the fee is, and you times that by 12, you get that $155 number. This is helpful to a lot of folks. However, I've seen a lot of folks within the city areas, New York City, Seattle, Miami, etc. They don't have necessarily Walmarts around them. So how do they stack value from it? Well, one, you got to think of it of not only using it for brick and mortar like Walmart locations. You can purchase online as well too because they deliver for free. given you have this membership. The second piece is that you can get pet insurance from there with a pretty low deductible, which is super helpful. And the last piece is Paramount Plus, the streaming service. So you could get that with their membership. And just want to point out, it does include ads, but however, those three things, it makes me want to value that at a full price, even if you're not near a brick and mortar Walmart location. The next one is a Suntory Lounge. This credit card is mainly built for luxurious travel. Those folks that want to travel in style and really like the lifestyle that follows it. They have access to the Suntory Lounge. Suntory Lounge is the marquee suites that Amex provides, right? It's basically, stacked all across the United States, 14 plus different lounges that you can access. With that as well, too, they have paired relationships, as again, they're incumbent in the space for this. They have access to global collection partners such as Delta Sky Club, Priority Pass, Plaza Premier, Lufthansa. So what I've done is essentially every time that I've gone to the airport when I didn't have this credit card, I kind of base it as a $50 spend anytime that I visited and got let's call it a burger, french fries, and one beverage, and tip and tax. All together, that adds up pretty quickly. So what I've done is I did one visit per quarter at that $50 spend every time that I visited. And that's how I came up with this $200 valuation. If you're not traveling once a quarter for your lifestyle, this credit card is not going to be for you. This credit card is mainly for folks that travel at least once a quarter. If you are traveling more than once a quarter, you could leverage this as an increase of incremental $50 for every time that you visit, right, as the valuation. I also just included the valuation of all of the lounges because I didn't want to inflate the numbers. If you're visiting one lounge if you're going to the airport for one visit, chances are you're not going to go to multiple lounges. So I just want to include the value of only one because again, I just think of them as a collection. Skipping past the rest of the lounges because again, including them together, the next benefit is the credit for global entry or TSA pre-check. I would always recommend you to go for the global entry because global entry includes TSA pre-check. This is a credit for $120, but it's valid for up to 4 years. So $120 divided by 4 gives you $30. Again, this is annualized, right? We're showing you the annual value that you'll get every year, right? Cruise privilege program. So it depends on what kind of room that you get, right? So it could range from $100 and go all the way up to $300. And what we did was essentially just put it right in the middle. Because, whether you're in a high-end travel, low-end travel, it doesn't really matter. You're still going to get value from this, right? So you're always going to have a credit, specifically if you leverage the credit card for this purchase. Fine hotel resort program and the hotel collection program. I would like to say that these are two different things, but they're really not. So they're very similar. $100 credit. So specifically, you have to book for 2 nights in a row, right? And then for also this one, you have to book for 2 nights in a row. The Fine Hotel Resorts program, typically you're going to be 4 or 5-star hotels. The hotel collection program, it can go outside of that bucket. So that's why it's a little bit of a difference. So one, the prices on the per night visits may be a little bit higher in this bucket, and the per night cost per visit will be a little bit lower in this bucket, typically speaking. With said, you get a $100 credit every time that you go there. I will say that the prices are a bit inflated. So for instance, I went to Panama last year. In Panama, I went to the Waldorf and I also went to the W. The Waldorf, when I used my credit, I used it for room service. I will say the room service was extremely inflated in price. So I've decreased that at a 25% valuation. So 25% minus that $100 will give me a $75, and that's valid for both of those. Very similar. They inflate the price. You're not getting a full amount of value. I would say it's really worth $75 every time you go there. You can also use the credit for other things such as spa, or you can use it as a concierge, meaning that you can book, for instance, a hotel excursion that the hotel is partnered with. You can do that. I've seen that in some cases as well too. It's very helpful. and who doesn't want an extra $100? Global dining access by Resi. I would say this is really helpful in a sense, but it doesn't necessarily give me value. So for instance, if I'm looking for a reservation, I was looking at the Wuhaken in Brooklyn, specifically, what's the name of that place? Man, I can't. It's a 1-star Michelin restaurant in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. And essentially, I couldn't find a reservation on my own. And what I did was I went into the app and I told them to notify me anytime that there was one that popped up for my slot. 7 p.m. to like 9 p.m. is the times that I wanted. It didn't open up. However, I called the restaurant and I was able to book it through the restaurant. So that's why I don't necessarily want to value it as much, because I could do it on my own. It does provide value though if you're not going to call ahead of time, and sometimes availability does pop up. I've had that in the past as well too, but not too much for me to value here, because again, I did pick up the cell phone and got ahead of this benefit, so I'm going to value that at nothing. Pre-sale tickets. I also try to use this as well too. I went to the website for F1 in London back in February 2025, and it immediately sold out as expected. I went onto the pre-sale tickets. They were not available. I went to a concierge service. They were not available as well too. Nonetheless, I didn't get to go, right? I would value this at not much, because again, I was looking and inquiring about this, months in advance, and I still was not able to get exactly what I wanted, which is fine. It's just that if I were to get it, I would have valued this at a higher valuation. Set and split. This is pretty unique. I would say if you have friends that live outside of the United States, Canada, Bermuda, London, etc., they don't have Zelle or access to Venmo, or certain countries don't have access to Venmo, I should say, like specifically Canada and Bermuda. And a lot of my friends, when we go on vacations, we send money to each other and whatnot. So when I'm sending money, the PayPal fee is pretty high because we have to use it as an alternative to Zelle and Venmo. When I send it over there, I'm getting fees that maybe $20, $30, etc. For the send and split, it's actually a cap at $5, so it saves me money. So every time that I spend or I send it to a friend using this perk, I only spend $5. So I'm valuing this at $5. If you do it more than one time, each one should be valued at $5. So if you do it 3 times, $15 should be the valuation. Also, another thing too is that it's pretty helpful because a Zelle or a Venmo, it comes directly from your bank account, whereas this will go directly onto your credit card statement, meaning that, if, let's just say you put the expense on March 1st and your statement isn't, until April 1st, you have days to pay it back, whereas if you did it in Venmo or PayPal, it will come immediately out of your account. So some accounting there. The next benefits are status on hotels. This is pretty helpful. I will say that I'm going to value it at $0, however, because it's intuitive that the American Express Platinum credit card provides you status, meaning that if you book through the travel portal, any available upgrades will be provided to you. And that's essentially what these perks do. They provide you additional things such as available upgrades. It's not always guaranteed. So that's another reason why I didn't value this that much, because it's a hit or miss. But nonetheless, the card itself is a standalone without these, status levels. It still is implied that you would get a upgrade relative to if there's any, availability there. So I'm going to value this at $0. I'm going to value the below perks for car rentals as well as $0 because, I'm not renting cars, and I prefer to take an Uber everywhere I go when I'm outside of the country. I'd rather decrease my risk. Don't have to get insurance. If I purchase an Uber ride, that's it. That's the cost. There's no risk really for me. You do get a 4-hour grace period, and you also get 20% back on certain vehicles. It's applicable based on the location. Also, free upgrades as well too if it's available. I'm going to value this at $0. However, I haven't used it, so I cannot comment to the value that I received from this. In total, what we did is we took all of these different valuations from each one of the benefits, and this is what we got an aggregate of. Now, I want to be fair and subtract the sign-up bonus or the sub, which is $800, because it only occurs within the first time or first year of you having a credit card. So it's not going to be an annualized fee, and it inflates the first year, right? So if you want to continue using a credit card, which is, if you're going to get a credit card, you should definitely get it to make sure that you're going to keep it, right? You don't want to, just get credit cards and then just cancel them out. One, is harmful to your credit scores, harmful to the providers, and it's just a lot more work for you to do. You want to make sure that you're picking the right ones and it lasts for a while, right? That's why we're doing this. So without the sign-up bonus, we still get $1,600 of value. That's significant relative to the annual fee. And just to show you how significant it is, we like to see it to be, at least 1.5 times the amount of value to the annual fee. So this multiple is higher than that, right? We see that it's 2.4, which is 2.5, basically 2.5%, or 2.5 times the annual fee that you're going to spend for this, right? So if you go over to the Amex Platinum, what you can do is you can come over to our credit card listing page. We have a list of all of the credit cards that we went through within the credit card listing page that we just showed you. And essentially, you could go in there and you can see the summarized benefits, and then you can go over to the apply now button if you did feel, for instance, these credit cards were good for you, right? So you can either apply as a guest and sign in. You could go and look at the offer detail page or the terms and conditions, which is essentially what we broke down for you to make it really, really simple. If you have any credit cards, or if there are any cards that we missed that you would like us to review, just please drop a comment below. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next week for the next one.